people are getting really wealthy off this.
Interesting.
And there's some little tricks you can play as well. Like I said, right? You can do it for $2 million. Well, you can justify a budget of 2.3, 2.4, but you're good at controlling your costs. Okay, let's submit 2.3.
Interesting.
If you can come in under that, who cares, right?
Yeah. The thing is like I agree with the real estate bearers methodology. I actually agree with it because it's simple economics. The fucking problem that they seem to not understand is that it's like they think the market isn't corrupt.
It's so true.
It's like
it's made up of individual people.
Yeah.
And every person that's to some degree is corrupt.
Yeah.
Right. You give them, the opportunity to do something that wasn't there before, and they might do it. Yeah. Right. Like nobody's perfect. Nobody is Jesus. Right. Like so everybody's corrupt. So the market and the market makers and the government are individual people looking out for themselves all around all across. And they've realized they basically have unlimited power now. There's no real checks and balances. And what changed in 2008 that people don't understand it as well is they realized, like, we can just print money.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's nobody stopping us anymore. There's nobody checking our budgets. Oh, we're coming up to a debt ceiling every couple years. The debt ceiling, they're not going to, and then they just expand the debt ceiling and they print more money. Like, it's crazy. What they've also realized they can do, they can buy their own bonds, which is essentially money printing. They can buy all the mortgage bonds to keep the liquidity in the real estate market going, which is what they're doing. So 2008 brought about this change where unlimited money printing is now a thing. And hey, our jobs numbers aren't looking great. Let's just hire a bunch of government workers. That's what's happening.
Oh my gosh,
like,
so true. Isn't the Canadian government like the biggest employer in the country?
Yeah, if you look at like the last jobs reports, like significant percentage of the job increases are government jobs. And I used to work for the government. I'd be like, why are they? Yeah, and I'd be in I'd be at a job where I'm like, why do we have so many people doing this job?
Yeah.
Like it was at the literal for the CBSA, the headquarters in Ottawa. That's where I worked. Like, there's way too.
You're talking about in Ottawa, like desk jobs and stuff.
There are way too many people doing this job, is what I would think to myself. But what I didn't realize is like, okay, well, part of that is like just mass manipulation. Every chance they can get. So
interesting.
This is why, like, I'm going to bet on real estate every time. Yeah. It's too integral to the economy and to Canada and to the government and to the banks for them to let it fail. Now it's going to go through periods of like, 10% gains, 10% losses, all this crazy whipsawing. But in general, come see me in 100 years, the chart's going to look like this.
Yeah.
Like it always does. It has to, or the whole system breaks.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to let that happen. And if they do let it happen, then that's not my problem. Our problem is way bigger than your real estate that you own.
Nor can you predict it.
That's even a better point.
You can't, if it happens, you can't predict it.
Exactly.
And then not only can you not predict it, what happens to everything else at the end of the day?
Exactly. That's why you'll have bigger problems than that. So you're better off not predicting it. And that's why I always say, like, just buy on fundamentals of supply and demand. Don't worry about interest rates and the economy, this and that, whatever.
Yeah.
Because it's all manipulated anyways, and you can't predict the manipulation.
No, of course.
Which means you can't predict the rates, which means you can't predict anything.
Especially real estate.
Yeah. But what you'll do is when the government comes out, this is one of the things that you want to take advantage of. When the government comes out and says, frick, we need a lot of rentals here, until at least 2030, we've got to build as many rentals as possible. As soon as I see that, I'm like, I'm taking part of that.
Yeah.
As long as the numbers work, right? Not every deal is going to work.
Yeah.
But if they do, I'm doing it every time.
I don't mind it. The way that you're putting it, like, you've obviously looked into it way more than I have.
Yeah, I've talked to some people that have done 500 plus deals. Some brokers.
On that?
Yeah, like they haven't done them. They've brokered 500 plus deals of MLI Select, and they're like
mortgage brokers or
mortgage.
Okay,
yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, if you want to get put in touch with them, let me know. But
I think pretty much any bank can do it. Correct?
They can, but there's skill levels, right?
Sure.
Any realtor can do their job as a realtor. Any lawyer can do their, whatever. Anybody can buy a business.
Yeah.
There's levels, right?
Yeah.
And sending them the file that doesn't get rejected would be part of the thing. Okay, we've done 500 of these. We know this is going to be a problem. Send us this. We need you to, and then they send the file, right?
I see.
Like that's part of it. But they're just, these conversations are like, people are getting really wealthy off this.
Interesting.
And there's some little tricks you can play as well. Like I said, right? You can do it for $2 million. Well, you can justify a budget of 2.3, 2.4, but you're good at controlling your costs. Okay, let's submit 2.3.
Interesting.
If you can come in under that, who cares, right?
Yeah.
They don't care. The numbers work at 2.3. Now that 2.3 you still have to hit that debt service coverage ratio and all that stuff.
What's the debt service coverage ratio on these?
I think they're looking at 1.1.
Oh,
which isn't too bad.
I thought it was lower than that.
I think standard is like 1.2.
Yeah, 1.25. I think, or is it 1.2? Is it
somewhere around there? Yeah. But when I saw it, I have to double check my notes.
0.9.
No, I think it's 1.1, which is lower than the standard.
Yeah. Huh. I thought it was lower to make that work.
Yeah.
That's not so bad, actually. That's not as low as I. Are you sure? Is it?
I just had a call yesterday. I'll double check my notes. I asked him specifically.
That was another thing that I was like, fuck. In order to make this deal work, your debt service coverage is like so low. Obviously.
Yeah.
Right. It was like. I don't like deals that you end up having to force it to work, right? But at the end of the day,
then you won't be doing any deals for the next decade.
I was also presented with this situation where, by the time this is built, it wasn't even approved yet with MLS Select, right? Or CMHC Select.
It's MLI Select. MLI is the program. It is CMHC insured.
Okay, so
same deal.
It wasn't even approved.
That's the problem. A lot of times you have to.
That's why I was like, I'm not gonna give you a bunch of fucking money, and then we're gonna hope for the best. Like, no. I'm not gonna partner with you and do that.
You're rarely gonna have a clear answer, but these guys are like, every one that we've submitted that we told you was going to be done has been done.
Yeah. So that was again that's the issue, I guess, where I didn't realize. I guess you could say it was too new for me. And when they're pitching me the fact that oh, hey, it's actually here's the pitch deck. It's based off of this financing
that we don't know if we're gonna have,
but we don't know we're gonna have. That was okay, no, go get the financing and then we can talk.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You can, if you own the land, you can do it ahead of time. The problem is when you're like, okay, we got this land deal, but we're not going to know if we're going to get the approval for 4 months.
I see.
We either have to buy the land and take the risk. But what, this guy that I'm talking to is saying is you can take that land, give me a pro forma projection of your rents, your build costs, whatever. We'll run it through our system and tell you if it's going to be approved or not, essentially. So there is an element of risk, though. Another risk in that is if you're partnering with a contractor is if this guy tells you he's building this project for $4 million, and then he comes in at 5.5, your numbers are screwed, and your financing probably goes out the window, or it just does. Instead of 95, now you're at 80.
Yeah.
Financing, so
not bad.
So what
the numbers probably don't work on a new build. That's the problem.
They wouldn't be appealing.
Yeah.
Probably you're like, oh, well, the ROI is too low here.
Yeah.
Right. The 95.5 is a lot of times what makes it.
Yeah.
The extended amortization.
Yeah. Fuck. I've got a couple buildings. I've got a building on 3 acres on Tranby. I'm talking about Tranby?
Yep.
Yeah. Right next door to 200 condos.
Build an apartment building.
It's an industrial building.
Build an apartment building to condo spec. Build it, rent it, 12 to 24 months stabilization. Change it to a condo, sell them off individually if and when the market's hot.
Yeah.
I know somebody that's actually doing that right now.
Yeah.
On a smaller scale project, but I'm not going to name names, but
edit it out.
No, I'll tell you after.
Yeah.
But they're converting to condos right now to sell them.
Oh, right now.
Yeah, because the rents aren't high enough for the building. They probably didn't plan on renting it, or I don't know, whatever, right? But
why wouldn't it be?
Build costs too high.
Oh.
Maybe the land was too expensive. I don't know, right?
Interesting.
Maybe they didn't do the MLI Select.
Yeah.
I have no idea what the situation is. I just know that's what's happening. But
interesting. Huh.
Yeah, so interesting. But from a broad perspective, the housing crisis is in full force. The only thing muting the market is buyers not buying because they can't afford anything. They're being qualified at 7%. You can't afford anything at 7% qualification. If you're starting out, if you've been working for 4 years, you don't have a ton of money saved, you make $100,000 a year, go try to get approved.
So what happens when rates, we're coming up on like terming out of those rates. So like
I said, the people that are in houses are mostly fine. Okay. They pay their mortgages, arrears are low, banks are working with you. What I'm saying is there's a lot of people that want to get into the market. They're only approved for 400 or 500K because the rates are too high. So anybody, if the rates were lower, they'd be approved for 700.
Okay, so let's figure this out. Okay, so I'm trying to think when mine, because I took advantage of like pretty low rates. Like I think I'm in like 2% or something like that. So when did I buy my house? I think I'm in the house that I'm in now, coming up on, it'll be 4 years, I think. So if I'm in my house for 4 years, I'm going to be terming out and call it a year and a half or close to 4 years. So if I'm at 2% now, and this is obviously probably different for me because I'm in a different financial position, but if I'm going from 2% to say then having to renew my mortgage and qualify at 7,
you don't have to qualify on your renewal. Renew.
If I'm going to be if I'm going to be renewing at 5.5 or whatever the case is, that's going to be a problem for a lot of people, don't you think?
Well, until you go to the bank and say, hey, I can't afford these payments, and they extend your amortization to 70 years.
Okay, so that's what's going to happen. That's what you think the banks are going to do.
They're not going to let the middle class lose their homes. They've come out and said it as plain as day. Nobody wants to believe it, but that's what's the reality. So they realize this. They can't stay with 70-year amortizations forever. They're going to have to cut rates soon. Might be 12 to 18 months. I don't know. But that's the reality. So, but my point here, from a broader perspective, there's tens of thousands of people that are sitting there that want to buy homes, but they're only approved for 400 or 500K. And then they go and look at what's available for 400 or 500K. They're like, I'm not buying that. So they're just sitting around. They're staying at their parents' house or they're renting. But as soon as those rates come down, they go back to the bank and say, oh, now I can get approved for 650 or 700 because the rates are down 1% and I've made, my wages are up a little bit, whatever. I've saved more money. Now all of a sudden they're back in the market at 650. Then that starts to fuel the market. And then those 650 people sell to those people and they trade up to 700, 750, 800. Then the 800 people, right? So then the wheels start turning. Right now it's a deadlock. Buyers can't afford to buy what they want. Sellers aren't getting what they want, or they don't want to trade up to something bigger and take on this giant mortgage. So everybody's just kind of sit and put. There is some activity. And if you do want to enter the market right now, there's not enough supply. So the prices are going up, but it's pretty muted. Pretty limited activity. But that's what's going to happen. That's why they're pumping out so many rentals right now. That's why they've incentivized this.
Yeah, because they know.
They want to turn the immigration spigots on again. They're already on. But they want to...
They tried to slow it, but they're going to have to turn it on again.
They're going to have to, and they want to, for numerous reasons. Number one, hiding inflation, increasing GDP numbers, importing votes. all these reasons. So I mean that's the reality of that. So anyways, that's my prediction for the housing market. But
and when do you think rates will start dropping?
I'm starting to think it might be something like 12 months. No idea, right? I just can't see inflation being under control by the end of the year with a carbon tax increase coming April 1st.
This is so crazy.
It's crazy.
Isn't it going to add like how many cents on a liter of gas? Right. Isn't it going to be? It
was like pretty decent amount, like maybe 14 cents or something, like 10 cents.
And the previous one added around the same, something like that.
Yeah, it's significant, and
right. It actually is fairly significant.